Have you ever heard of a corpse being dug out of its grave? The Pope who was prosecuted after death. Today we will tell you about one of the most bizarre cases in judicial history, the only time a corpse was put on trial. This chilling event unfolded in the year 897 in the heart of Europe, inside the Vatican. The main character is Pope Formosus, and there are many mysteries surrounding his death, like who killed him, why, and how. As always, let's get started. Once upon a time in Europe, before the days of modern states, the Catholic Church wielded tremendous spiritual and temporal power. Popes weren't just religious leaders. They were potentates who appointed bishops, influenced elections, and occasionally meddled in secular matters. During this era, the papacy became a chess piece in the power games of Europe's elite families, each vying for influence. Pope Formosus, born in 816, navigated these treacherous waters adeptly. He worked as a diplomat, accumulating significant education and experience. Initially ordained as a priest, he served under several popes before his own ascent to the papacy in 891. Upon his election, he faced challenges such as the deposition of Archbishop Aldam of Milan and conflicts with Guy of Spoleto. However, he persevered, issuing decrees, confirming church appointments, and attending imperial councils. Pope Formosus had a complex relationship with the powerful figures of his time, including King Arnulf of East Francia and Berengar of Italy. Despite facing opposition from some quarters, notably Bishop Adelard of Le Mans, Formosus solidified his position, earning the allegiance of Arnulf and others. He played a crucial role in the deposition of Margrave Eric of Tuscany and supported Lambert of Spoleto against Guy. By 896, his influence extended to Burgundy and northern Italy. However, this power didn't come without its enemies. As we can see, the road to the papacy was paved with political turmoil. Each step of Formosus's journey brought him closer to the seat of power, but also into the crosshairs of those who sought to control the papacy. When he got to the top of the ladder, he made many enemies. Many were desperate to replace him, and once he died, they found the perfect opportunity to settle the score. In 896, Pope Formosus fell ill and died. To everyone's surprise, he was succeeded by Cardinal Stephen, formerly a monk who had renounced his vows to ascend to the papacy. This unexpected turn of events immediately raised eyebrows and set in motion a series of events that would lead to the exhumation of the former pope. The new pope was driven by an insatiable ambition to attain and maintain power, even if it meant disregarding the sanctity of death itself. The first target of his obsession was none other than the recently deceased Pope Formosus. Not long after ascending to the papacy, Stephen summoned the Roman nobility to the Lateran palace. Once gathered, he dramatically revealed the contents of a letter allegedly written by Formosus while still pope, expressing support for Stephen's elevation to the cardinalate. However, Stephen now claimed that this support had been coerced, alleging that Formosus had threatened him and pressured him into accepting the position. Drawing on canonical regulations, Stephen declared that any cardinal who accepted a position against his will should be deposed. Therefore, he argued, he had rightfully become the pope. But the matter did not end there. Stephen went further, alleging that Formosus committed various irregularities during his papacy, including heresy and simony. Notably, he accused Formosus of legitimizing the marriage of King Arnulf of East Francia to his cousin, a union deemed unacceptable due to their close familial ties. This accusation carried weight as canon law strictly prohibited clerics from solemnizing marriages between close relatives. Moreover, Stephen pointed fingers at Formosus's uncle, Bishop Theodomir of Spoleto, alleging that he had manipulated the young pope into making questionable decisions. Allegations painted a picture of Formosus as a weak leader easily influenced by his uncle, hinting that the uncle might have exerted undue influence on papal matters. These accusations might seem trivial today, but in the context of 9th century Europe, they were serious. They touched upon the very legitimacy of Formosus' papacy and cast aspersions on his integrity and decision-making abilities. To bolster his case, Stephen produced two witnesses, Bishop Landulf of Capua and Cardinal Alfonso. They recounted instances where Formosus allegedly engaged in simony, the practice of buying and selling church positions, and allowed clergymen to hold multiple benefices, violating canon law. Stephen's campaign to discredit Formosus sent shockwaves through the church and secular world. It was unprecedented for a sitting pope to attack the memory of his predecessor so viciously and with such fervor. But Stephen was relentless. He opened a synod, a church council, specifically to condemn Formosus, a dead pope. On February 22, 897, the Synod of the Dead began in St. Peter's Basilica. The proceedings were recorded by the deacon who spoke on behalf of the mute corpse. Stephen personally presided over the tribunal, which included cardinals, archbishops, and even nobles. He questioned the dead pope, accusing him of misconduct during his papacy. Formosus, unable to defend himself, remained silent as Stephen and his supporters hurled accusations. They condemned him for alleged financial improprieties, including mismanaging donations and granting church offices in exchange for money. Stephen maintained that Formosus had acted under duress, forcing him to make these decisions, and that he had done so to protect the church. The atmosphere in the basilica was tense. The assembled church dignitaries listened intently as Stephen laid out his case. Some nodded in agreement, while others exchanged uneasy glances, sensing that they were witnessing a historic moment that would later be spoken of with a mixture of disbelief and morbid fascination. Finally, the moment arrived when the synod pronounced its verdict. The accusations against Formosus were upheld. His acts as pope were declared null and void. Stephen proclaimed himself the true and legitimate pope, absolving himself of any blame for the unfolding drama. But this was not enough for him. Stephen wanted to ensure that the finality of Formosus's condemnation was clear and unambiguous. He ordered the removal of Formosus's body from its tomb in St. Peter's. A macabre spectacle ensued as Formosus's remains were disinterred and paraded through the streets of Rome to the courthouse. There, in the very place where he had been tried, Stephen delivered the ultimate punishment. He ordered the cutting off of Formosus's 3 right fingers, the ones used for papal blessings. This gruesome act severed Formosus's connection to the papacy, stripping him of the symbols of his office. After mutilating the corpse, Stephen's followers cast it into the Tiber River, leaving it to be swept away by the currents. As Formosus's body floated down the river, it was a stark and haunting reminder of the lengths to which Stephen would go to secure his position. And with that, the disturbing saga of the corpse trial came to an end. Yet the story does not end here. In the following months, the citizens of Rome grew tired of Stephen's oppressive rule. Rumors swirled, pointing to the poisoning of his predecessor as the motive behind his actions. They rose up, stormed the Lateran palace, and forced Stephen to confess his crimes, including the desecration of Formosus's body. He was then thrown into prison, supposedly enduring a miserable existence until his own demise. While the circumstances surrounding his death remain unclear, the consensus is that he died in captivity. Meanwhile, the memory of Formosus was eventually cleared, and his remains were given a dignified burial. The shocking spectacle of the corpse trial faded into history, leaving behind a chilling reminder of the depths of human ambition and depravity. What do you think of this unbelievable story? We eagerly await your thoughts in the comments below. Please share this with your friends and family. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on our captivating videos. Your engagement fuels our passion. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye.